So the sides of the guitar are still, I'm letting them dry out a little bit more. What I'm going to work on next is the neck, or the fretboard of the guitar, because that's a CNC operation. And once I have the fretboard done, then I'm pretty much done with the CNC. I'm going to restore the work table back to the sawmill because I've got a couple maple logs out there that need to be milled. So fretboard it is. And then we'll start to work on the neck and the bracing for the inside of the guitar. This fretboard is going to be made, this is a piece of Wenge. It's a very hard and dark piece of wood. This is a remnant of some flooring that somebody, during a renovation, actually a deck that somebody decided to get rid of. So I'm going to be cutting this off at about 55 millimeters. So this piece is going to be cut in half. Then I'm going to split it down the middle, and then I'm going to cut it right down here along that line. So this will be what I'm cutting out of this section of the Wenge. I'll actually wind up with 4 fingerboards. I'm planning on making 2. So I'll get this stuff through the table saw and start cutting it. Now this is really hard wood apparently, so it's going to be a very slow operation. Four blocks for a fingerboard. These of course need to be cut a little bit to a taper and to size, but I'll worry about that dimensioning a little bit later. They're also going to have a little bit of a curve to them, but we'll be doing that on the CNC. So the CNC operation is going to be a 2-pass deal. The first pass is going to be cutting the arch on it. Actually, probably 3 passes. First pass is will actually be a profile cut to get exactly the width and the taper that I want and the length. The second pass will be cutting the arch on it, and then the third pass will be cutting the individual frets. So I'll get this now set up for the CNC. I spent a little time getting the G-code ready for the CNC to handle the fretboard. The first operation is going to be planing it down smooth and to a consistent thickness of 6 millimeters. I've marked on the spoil board where this piece is going to line up. I'm going to screw that in place. First I need to drill that hole out. That's just a countersink mark. So I'll drill that out, countersink it, and then I can put a screw in to hold it onto the spoil board and down low enough, it's countersunk down low enough that the router cutting bit won't touch it. So I'm just about to drill those out, and then we'll mount it on there. Okay, the bit is now into the chuck as far as it can go, so any downward pressure is not going to force it up any further. It's set so that it's now going to hit, the tip is just going to hit the spoil board and stop. So I think we're good to go. Hope my arm didn't get in the way too much on that shot. But okay, we're ready to mount this on the spoil board, on the CNC run. So the fretboard is now set on the spoil board where I want it. I'm just going to use the screws that I've got set aside here to hold it down. Grabbing one with some needle nose so I can put it through the bottom of the hole. Just give it a tap. That marks where I want to put the pilot hole in the spoil board. Being MDF, I don't want to put a screw directly into that without a pilot hole. All right, having sanded off that little pimple that came up from putting in the screw initially, we now have this piece mounted very solidly, so we're ready to go with our first operation, planing. Fretboard now milled down flat to 6 millimeters in thickness. Interesting thing about the Wenge is it fresh cut, it lightens up considerably. So we'll see after a little bit of time how it oxidizes. So this is something that's been cut and sitting for a little while. Let's see how this changes. Anyway, next cut will be the profile cut. Does the curve from one end to the other. I'm about to make the rounding cut on the fretboard here. The rounding cut has a larger radius at the base end and a smaller radius at the nut end because the fretboard itself is tapered. So we'll be keeping the consistent thickness, but that means I had to adjust the taper. So several passes along here and we'll get this piece cut. There's the fretboard, a very subtle radius along here. So that's good. I'm looking for minimal. Next operation will be cutting the slots for the frets. Then a profile cut. And I'm just toying with the notion at the moment of perhaps putting in some inlays at the various spots along the fretboard that you see on some guitars. I'm not sure what I would use for an inlay, but I'm just, this is the point where it would be done. So I'm considering that. In the meantime, I'm going to call that a video for today. Not quite as much progress this week as I had hoped to get. It was one of those weeks where it just seemed to be lots of other things that came up that needed to be done. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I will see you on the next video.